Road husband, if you see me, let me know. If anybody else sees me, let me know too. Trying a new way of positioning the camera here, or my phone. Any luck?
Yes, there you are.
Okay. Hey, oh, you're right about the weird thing with your hand. So that's my hand. This is my right hand. There we go. Donna, hey. I am so glad you're watching. I apologize for the delay. I had started, and Cliff Hillis is watching, and now I can see the comments. So thank you for tuning in. As I was saying before to nobody, I guess, is that our friend Kim G that we met down in Epcot with the orchestra, she let Cliff know about a certain kind of order of operation that you do things on your phone. So not only is it not like the long, narrow version, but that it's also flipped so you can read things. And I was just testing it out. Yeah, this is, hey Craig, nice to see you. So remember before when I was doing my videos and I had written everything backwards? Now I don't have to do that anymore. So I was just double checking because this is a trivet I've had for like a million years. Just getting used to it. Sorry, you guys. I know, Craig, I apologize. Something wacky was going on, but here I am. So I will go past 3:30. It's fine. But anyhow, I just want to make sure that people knew that I figured it out, how to make it horizontal, and that also if I hold up anything, you can actually read it because that says diner. Diner. Yeah. So anyhow, welcome to the most recent and live Facebook Live from the Hacienda. Maud Betty from Retro Roadmap. That is me. This is the Hacienda. And I am so excited because actually it's funny. Now that the camera is adjusted before, you can see more stuff behind me. And it's still all the stuff from my office. But we finished. Cliff finished painting it. So I will be back in there tomorrow, but the neat thing is that I think it's a lot more fun out here in the Hacienda living room to do my videos, so I'll probably still do them here, and then also I can move my camera around a little bit, so I may give you a little tour. I'm taking a page from the book of the Velveteen Lounge Kitchen that gave a little bit of a video tour of their living room. So if people are interested in a little edited tour of the Hacienda living room, I can show you some of the things in the Hacienda living room. So as some of you know who have tuned in, I have a couple of different sections of the show today. This is me making my own show. And what I love to do, because I want to keep the retro road mapping, actually, it's not a surprise, Donna. You've been over to our house and you've seen some of the things here online. My office is actually completely white. We have so much color in the office, and I have so many collections that you've seen that will then go back into the office, that the background for the office, a nice calm white, and then all the pops of color for all my stuff that I collect. So that's what that's going to look like. Peter and Candy, thank you for liking my earrings. These are from Stringing Along With Me in Maine. Bettina Clark makes them, and they're called the Maud Betty. So if you want to get some, she makes them for me, and they're made out of repurposed guitar strings, because she is married to a musician like I am married to a musician, and I just love that. So anyhow, what we're going to do today is we will go through a retro roadmap state. I am going kind of from east to west, or however my hands go now that I'm doing this different thing. We've done Maine, we've done New Hampshire, and we're going to talk about Vermont today for a little bit. I've got some books from my bookcase that I want to show you that also coincides with my collection, but because they're kind of one and the same, I also had kind of a random question or a collection that I wanted to show you as well. We will also have the Q&A section that we've done before, so if you have any Q's for Maud Betty, I will give you some A's. And then, we'll talk about, whatever you want to talk about. So I'm shortening up the show a little bit, so where it's a little bit peppier, a little bit less, and especially on a beautiful day like today. Like, I'm not sure where all of you are tuning in from, but here in Pennsylvania, the sun is out. and the sun wasn't out yesterday, and the next 3 days are supposed to be lousy. So I want to get out there and get some fresh air and sunshine, because especially with what everything's going on now, and we're all in our houses anyway, I want to be able to go outside and get some fresh air. So let's get to it, shall we? So we're going to talk about Vermont. Now, I was going to show you Vermont on the puzzles that I was doing. I'm doing some puzzles because we're stuck in time. We're stuck in at home, and I'm doing some puzzles. And so here's the deal. Let me see if I can show. Oh no, it goes over here. Sorry, I'm working backwards here. Working blue here, people. Anyhow, I was going to show you this. I was going to show you the puzzle. Oh, there we go. So we're talking about Vermont. All right. Now, I was going to show you the actual piece, and it's really small. And between now and when I started this video, I've already lost the piece of it. But this is my Milton Bradley puzzle that I'm doing. Oh, how do I do this? Sorry. This is my Milton Bradley puzzle. Now, this is an interesting thing to me. There we go. Oh, I see. It's because the camera's there. Hey, Jude. Waka waka. Hey, Jude. It's nice to see you watching all the way from Wales. That's awesome. So I'm doing some puzzles to bide my time. This is a Milton Bradley puzzle of the United States, and there's a world map on it too that I'm doing. So the neat thing is, and this is, we're not even going to get to Vermont right now, but just since I was showing you this, so I have two versions of this puzzle. There we go. How about this? I have two versions of this puzzle, and this is one that is cardboard. This is the one from 1975. But then the cool thing is that I also have, it's the exact same, it's still Milton Bradley, this one, but it's wood. It's a wood background one, and you can see the Milton Bradley logo is a little bit different. It's because this is the 1961 edition. So I'm doing some puzzles to bide my time and kind of distract myself. And frankly, the big exciting thing is that all this travel I've been doing is making me better at knowing where my states are, and then also knowing where places are, map of the world. So that's what I'm doing. But today, you know what? Yeah, you know what? It's fun. I don't know how I got these. My sister Pam may have given them to me when from her vintage shop or whatever. And the neat thing is, Wendy V, I will, hey, Jude, nice. Thank you very much. Here's a really interesting thing that I can't wait to do the world side of the map, because I noticed when I was doing them. So first of all, we're going to be talking about my maps the whole time. I mean, my puzzles. Anyhow, so this is the cardboard one. This is New Mexico. This is the wooden New Mexico, right? Doesn't help to be left-handed on this thing. So they look pretty much the same. You know, the states are the same. A little bit thicker in the wooden one, but then you turn them over, right? And there's different things on the world view. So I cannot wait to do the world version of both puzzles and see how they compare and contrast. So yes, I'm doing my Milton Bradley, very easy peasy puzzles to bide my time. But speaking of maps, as I said, we're talking about Vermont. So Vermont is the Green Mountain State. It's part of New England. I love it because it is all things maple and Vermont cheddar cheese. If you love cheese, Vermont is a great place for cheese. And in doing my research, there were a whole bunch of diners I wanted to mention to you. But before I forget, I think some of you may have seen this on the Retro Roadmap Facebook page. And there is a little shop. It's a barn in, where is it, Lunenburg, Vermont? I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, so it's this wonderful little candle company called Aunt Sadie's Candles. Now, they used to be in Boston. They used to be in the South End, and I worked there for a time before I moved to Delaware. And I just love their candles. They come in these, they're literally like a candle in a can. And they have these great vintage graphics, and I think some of you saw that they're doing an offer where if you buy one of their candles, you can then have them free of charge. They will send a candle to a friend of yours just to keep us all connected at this time. I love the candles that they have that have the vintage postcard graphics on them, you know, the greetings froms. that I've gotten a bunch of those, and actually I saw one, the one that I got has a little vintage camper on it. But Aunt Sadie's Candles, they're on Facebook and all that. Check them out if you want to not only get a candle from Vermont, but also to send one to a friend. I have a friend who's getting one, and they don't know who it is, so somebody's going to be surprised. But let's talk about Vermont. Let's talk about diners, because there are a whole bunch of diners in Vermont. This is neat because it's a bunch of old school, you know, the classic stainless steel, sometimes wooden interior ones. These are the small, what I call like the New England diners, because they're not the big New Jersey ones. I'm thinking of places like, for example, the Parkway Diner. The Parkway Diner is in South Burlington, and that is a wonderful old school red diner. It's got a wonderful neon sign in front of it, and they're famous, according to some of my books, for their hot turkey sandwiches. I haven't been there in a number of years, but I was glad doing my research that they are still open. So that is the Parkway Diner in South Burlington. Burlington, when I went up there in the 90s, they had a bunch of diners, and they're still there, but they're in kind of a different shape than they were before. So the other one that it hasn't changed since I've been there is Henry's Diner. Now, Henry's doesn't really look like a classic diner. When you go in there, when you see it from the outside, it's been stuccoed over, and the last time I checked, it looked a little bit hacienda-y. However, when you go inside, you can see that it's a classic diner on the inside, Henry's Diner in Burlington, Vermont, and they serve classic diner fare. I don't know why I remember this, but I just remember going there and getting a wonderful waffle with that Vermont maple syrup, the real maple syrup in it. And I will say, if you've never had real maple syrup, you need to try some, because once you try it, you will never go back to like table syrup or whatever they call it, because it's just so delicious. Maple syrup that you can get in the Northeast and different places like that. So Henry's Diner in Burlington, Vermont, I love. There is a diner, the other diner that I had been to before in Vermont, in Burlington rather, was the Oasis Diner. That was just a classic diner. Here's a funny thing. So, you know, to me, diners are so iconic that it takes a lot for people to pretend like they're not a diner. So what used to be the Oasis Diner in Burlington is now a Mexican restaurant. And if you look up a picture of their diner on Google Maps or Google, like, you know, image search or something like that, you can see they are trying so hard to disguise the fact that their building is a diner. There's like an awning hanging there, and there's something else to distract you from it. But you look and you know what to look for, and you'll see the classic bones of a vintage stainless steel diner there. Another diner, let me think. Oh, so this is really neat. So this was the first one that came to my mind when I was thinking of talking about Vermont diners. And if you have any Vermont recommendations, feel free to put them in the comments, because what I love to see is people kind of, this isn't just me talking right here, even though technically it is. I love it when there's some interaction between people in the comments, or you get to see some familiar names, things like that. So if you have any kind of Retro Roadmap worthy suggestions for Vermont, feel free to put them in there. So I was thinking about the Blue Ben Diner, and then Craig Nye, who is in the comments here, who he's a great Retro Roadmap fan and a wonderful Retro Roadmapper, he also recommended the Blue Ben. So the Blue Ben is in Bennington, Vermont. That's why it's called the Blue Ben, and you kind of can't miss the outside. It's got, I will say this, it's a 1948 Silk City diner, which if you're a Retro Roadmapper, you know that Silk City is where? Or, yes, that's Paterson, New Jersey is where Silk City is, and that's where those diners were. Built. So this one looks like a classic diner, except because of the weather in Vermont, it's got this giant kind of awning, a blue awning kind of exterior to keep it warm inside. But it's a classic diner when you go inside. And the neat thing is too, is not only do they serve your classic diner fare, but they also have some really neat, interesting kind of fresh ingredients. I remember having this killer gazpacho. And to me, when I go to a diner, I don't expect to eat gazpacho, but I was in the mood for gazpacho. And so I ate some gazpacho there. So the other diner I wanted to make sure I told you all about is the Chelsea Royal. So the Chelsea Royal is in West Brattleboro, and it's a 1938 or 39. I'm not going to quibble. Worcester dining car. So this is one of those cute little ones made in Worcester, Massachusetts, and it is for sale. So if you're thinking of maybe a career change and you want to move to Vermont and you want to run a diner, it is a classic, cute little diner, and they also have a really wonderful neon sign outside. So that is the Chelsea Royal Diner in West Brattleboro. So a couple of other places I wanted to mention for Vermont, if you're retro road mapping and want to head out there. So a couple of really neat places. One is, this is top of the list. I will admit I have not been here, but I cannot wait to get up there because there's a place called the Fairley Motel and Drive-In. So yes, people, this is in Bradford, Vermont. Fairley, Fairlee. It is not only a motel, but it's also a drive-in movie theater. And you can literally like stay the night. You can watch the movie and you can stay the night at the motel. And I just think that is such a wonderful kind of slice of Americana combination, like motel and drive-in movie theater. And I just think that's such an awesome thing. Rumor has it too, or I don't say rumor has it, I'm pretty sure that there are rooms that you can get where the picture window looks out and you can actually watch the movie from your room. I mean, talk about social distancing, huh? Just saying. So anyhow, that's the Fairley Motel and Drive-In in Bradford, Vermont. And then another place that I think has kind of international appeal, perhaps, is the Trapp Family Lodge. Now, I forgot to write down where in Vermont it is. So if anybody knows it, put it in the comments. But if not, just Google it. And the Trapp family. So the hills are alive with the sound of music. The Trapp family is what the Sound of Music was based on. And they have a lodge where you can go stay and you can eat and you can check it out. And I just think it is such a classic, iconic place that you just like, you want to go to Vermont? I don't know. What do you want to do? Yeah, let's get some cheese and eat some maple and go to the Trapp Family Lodge. Peter and Candy drove in and checked out something. You know what? Always do your research. I can recommend places, but I also recommend you do your research to decide if you want to stay at places or not. So that's good advice, Peter and Candy. So thank you for chiming in. The other place that I wanted to mention in Vermont before we get on to some other things is the Vermont Country Store. Now, I don't know if anybody here, that's my hand, yep, that's this one. Anybody ever get this catalog in the mail when you were growing up, or was it just our family? So the Vermont Country Store has been around since 1946. They have 2 locations, and it's a place where you can get kind of those really traditional looking like nightgowns where the kids all match and old-timey bedspreads and different foods and things like that. If you go on their website, you can actually see a bunch of their products and you can order them online. I mean, it's an old school place, but you can order things online too. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And especially now in the time of social distancing, it might be your way to get it. One place on their website or in their catalog that I highly recommend you check out because it is a hoot is the brands from the past section. So this is where they actually have revived some old school brands of things. Like they have this lipstick, I think it's called Tangy, and it's orange, and it was supposed to be like that it matched, like it matched the color of your mood, and it's from back in the day. Also, there's a, what do you call that stuff? Makes you smell nice. Perfume I think it's called Evening in Paris, but it's got this blue bottle that has been around. It's kind of a classic looking thing. And the one that I crack up about is they have from the 70s, they've got this shampoo called Lemon Up. Now it's a big yellow tube, and on the top, the turn top looks like a lemon. And the crazy thing is I remember using that shampoo when I was a kid, and you can still get it there. Oh, and speaking of things that they have that you would have used when you were a kid, Gina Tay, the Bath Splash or whatever. So that's the Vermont Country Store. They've got all sorts of things on their website. You can check them out, but you can also go visit the store in real life when you're in Vermont. So those are a couple of retro roadmap worthy places to visit in Vermont. If you have any, yep, I see that Craig says he gets the catalog, and you visited both stores. Very cool. I've only been to the one, and I just think it's a hoot. They also have some really neat things like around the holidays that you would get, Christmas candies and whatnot that you might remember from your childhood or your grandma's house or something like that. So all sorts of old school place things. Lifebuoy soap. Yes, Craig, that's right. Yep, I think, yeah, you know what? Cliff might be. He's very good at paying attention to what I want for my birthday, because I pretty much tell him what I want for my birthday, and he gets it. Works out really well. So that was Vermont. So I have decided that I am going to do another, as I mentioned, in this time where we're all stuck at home, I love to be able to connect people, even you people who are in the comments. You don't even know it, but you kind of know each other because you know me. So see the names there, and you may see some familiar ones. But I'm going to do another one of these on Tuesday, next Tuesday. I think we're still in March. The calendar's getting a bit muddled in my head because of what's going on. But Massachusetts, okay? So Massachusetts is going to be Tuesday. That will be like a half-hour show, but I'm totally going to go over the half hour. So, get yourself comfortable, because I'm from Massachusetts, and I have so many places that I want to recommend to you from my home state, the Bay State. So that's going to be next Tuesday. So make sure to tune in for that. And if you have any suggestions for Massachusetts, when I set up the Facebook Live invite, feel free to pop them in the comments there. So speaking of different sections of the show, so there's a section of the show that I like to call my collection corner, and I have plenty of collections that I can show you. We've talked about my snow domes, and we even talked about some records and stuff. And the funny thing is I didn't really quite realize until I looked at my bookcase that I have a collection of this book right here. So this book is Road Food. So this is Jane and Michael Stern. If you, if anybody likes anything kind of pop culture, or especially now that Road Food is primarily their major brand, but Jane and Michael Stern have been writing about the things that I love since the 70s, driving across the country and eating in old school places. And I did not realize this until I was trying to remember places in Vermont. But check this out. So this is their book. They've been putting it out, I think, since the late 70s, maybe early 80s. So this is the 2017 section. Looks kind of mod, kind of hip. And what it is basically recommendations of cool places to eat across the country. They're not necessarily all like old school classic places like I do. They're a bit more food oriented than I am, but you can find some regional foods here in these books. So this is the 2017 version. Being the collector that I am, I also have this version because it changes quite often. They have some things that always kind of show up, different restaurants and stuff. And then I realized I had this version of it, which I think is, one of these is the 2011, and the other one is, this is 2011. This one I think is a couple of years later. And here, I'll show you a funny thing. So this one is the one from 2014, and then check this out. See this one? This is like the 1983 version. So it's really fascinating to see the places that they recommended back in the day where you could get some old school, regional fare and things like that. But I kind of didn't realize that I had a thing. I mean, I do have my Jane and Michael Stern collection on my bookcase, but I didn't realize I had 4 or 5 copies of this. So if you are ever looking to go eating on the road, I highly recommend checking out. Actually, their website is really cool, and they have a really good like forum, like a comment section where people chime in all the time. If you're ever planning any travel and you want to find out where to eat. Now, I'm showing you this copy specifically right now because I just thought this would be interesting to you. So any of you who have Retro Roadmap road books that I've created, I've got 5 of them, actually 4 of them, only 4 now because Delaware is out of print. But one of the things I realized you will notice when you look at those books is I really wanted people to bring them with them on the road, right? And use them to research. And that inspiration really came from the fact that I know you guys can't see this. Actually, let me see if I can do this. Here, hold on. I'm going to try to flip the camera. Ooh, there we go. Okay, yeah. So see, I think it might be backwards, but this is my bookcase. And so, for example, like here's where I pulled out, that's my Jane and Michael Stern section, right? So it's all good. Let me do this again. Flip back. It's all good to have books in a bookcase, right? But you know what? Why am I keeping my books so pristine? Why aren't I using them? You know, it's so funny. I thought about this, the fact that it's like you want your books to be in good condition. And trust me, I kind of like that. But also, what am I doing? I'm keeping them in good condition. So when I die, somebody can have really nice books that they give to the Goodwill. You know, so I said, you know what? Gosh darn it. I'm going to pull my books off of the shelf. I'm going to use them. I'm going to bring them on the road. So I started with this road food book. And when we would drive up to Massachusetts to see my family, I was like, let's stop at all the let's try to do this. I'm a collector. I said, let's go to all the places in a certain state, right? So we started doing that. This was actually easy. This was Delaware. But then I realized there wasn't really any place for me to conveniently write down, you know, like, so, and even the fact that I'm bending this book right here, oh, it feels kind of weird, but you know what? Carpe diem. So then I realized that it was like, okay, well, you know what? I do want to remember what I ate at Lenny and Joe's Fishtail. Hot lobster roll. That's a thing. You guys, when we talk about Connecticut, I love New England, like Maine lobster rolls, but I kind of like the Connecticut ones better. We'll talk about those. But anyhow, hot lobster roll. Remember that. But I wanted there to be a place where you could write down like what you had. So I want to thank Jane and Michael Stern on so many levels for recommending, you know, inspiring me to not only make my own books, but also to put a place where I could write in my notes and you can write a note in your Retro Roadmap Road book. So anyhow, that's my collection of of road food, collect them all, Jane and Michael Stern books. So now I would be interested, does anybody have a Q&A? This would be the Q&A section for Maud Betty. So if you have a question for me that you would like me to answer, I'd be more than happy to do that. Just pop it in the comments right there. And what else can I show you or tell you about? Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, Gina Tay, Evening in Paris. Yes. Yeah, those scents, I'm telling you people, they will, isn't it funny how your nose can just remind you of a certain person, like certain smells like that. All right, well, it looks like there aren't any questions from Maud Betty, which is fine. I totally get it. We're kind of buds, so you probably know all about me. But if you do have any for the future, so yeah, all right, we can talk about it. So Connecticut versus Maine lobster roll, says Peter and Candy. So Peter and Candy, I know, go to Maine a lot to go vacationing. Here's the deal. I never knew about this literally for the entirety that I lived in New England. I only I only discovered the hot lobster roll or the Connecticut lobster roll because of road food. So what the deal is there's two types of lobster rolls. And if anybody doesn't know what a lobster roll is, and I feel like lobster roll, you can tell I'm talking about something from New England because my voice changes. So a lobster roll is lobster meat, cooked lobster meat, put in a hot dog bun. And it's actually, it really should be a New England hot dog bun, which that's a different thing too. So many other places in the US have these ones that are pretty much like the end crust of a bread, the heel of the bread kind of folded, and it's got all the crust on the outside. Like, I always used to think they were so funny because I would see those in cartoons and be like, what are they? That looks weird. New England hot dog rolls are like the piece of bread. So it's the nice bread. You get a little bit of crust on the outside, but it's the bread. So you know what you can do with those is you can slap some butter on there, flap it on the grill, and then it's almost like, you know, the outside of a grilled cheese, that nice grilled thing. So a grilled New England New England hot dog roll opened up, and then lobster meat put inside there. Now the two different kinds. So I would say Maine, Massachusetts, where I'm from, is usually lobster salad. So lobster salad means the lobster meat with a little bit of mayo, maybe some celery, put it in there. If you want to make it look like you've got more lobster meat than you do, you put a thing of lettuce in there. But anyhow, that's like a lobster salad roll. Connecticut, what they do, I feel like Connecticut does this thing where they've got the lobster meat, and then instead of mayo, they put hot melted butter in it and then toss it up. So if you've ever eaten a lobster, like from the shell, cracking it open, dipping it in the butter, salt, butter, so good. This is like a lazy man's lobster, or just so delicious. I can't even, people. I just can't. So I would say, yeah, hot lobster rolls. Connecticut, I used to really be peeved at Connecticut because I call it the rectangle in the way of getting other places. But there's a couple of foods there that I think kick some butt and make it a state worth stopping into. Also the nutmeg state. We were on a Facebook Live last night with our friend Amy Fairchild, and I impressed everybody by the fact that I knew it was the nutmeg state and also like the insurance state. Have I ever visited any covered bridges or lighthouses in Vermont? Mom and I both enjoyed them. Oh, it's funny because I really haven't. I know I've gotten over them, but I love the fact that whenever anybody goes traveling, there are always things that certain people like groove on and want to collect and do. Like I know there are a bunch of covered bridges in Vermont, and there are actually a few of them here in Pennsylvania, which I didn't know about. Lighthouses I would be curious about. Okay, yeah, thank you, Craig, because I was going to say, unless it's on, Lake Champlain? Yep, lighthouses would be in Maine, but lighthouses, covered bridges, I mean, that's the neat thing about travel. It's like you can pick something to be like, you know what, we're going to visit, kind of like me with these books. It's like, we're going to visit every duck pin bowling alley or every place that serves bar pie pizza. Let's do it. Let's make a list and do it. So whenever you travel, figure out the things that mean something to you and to collect them all, as I like to say. So I think that will be it for today, unless there's any more questions for Maud Betty. But you know what? I'll end on this note because I want to kind of give a question for you to think about as I sign off. So I wrote today on Just Drive Your Life and also my own Facebook page to think about, something think about this question. Have you done anything today that could make anybody else's life a little bit brighter? And I say this because of the situation that's going on in the world and how we can all get caught up in our own freaking out. I mean, last night I was kind of panic attacky, I have to admit. Even though I tend to be so trying to put on like a strong front, this is also like OMFG, what is going on with the world? But then I realized, you know what? It's going to do me no good to get all churned up inside. So what I've decided to do is, while Retro Road Husband has been painting my studio, the blinds have been off the windows, and I thought, well, I know what I'm going to do is every day, because now we've got so many people walking around because we can't leave our houses and we need to get out. So there's so many more walkers out there that I thought I see people walking by my house, and wouldn't it be nice to just kind of send them some love and send them a nice message? Where'd it go? And so I have been putting out these little signs, and I had one. Anyhow, envision a piece of paper that says, actually, do I have one? Crap. This is live TV, people. Oh, here we go. Sorry, it was on the side. So I decided that every day I would put a little note in the window. Let me see how I do this. There we go. And so I just put it up there, and each one we have the divided light windows, as you can kind of see in the back there. And each one, every day I put a little nice thing to think about. So sunshine, because today we had sunshine. I have the word love there. I have the word hope, because we all need love and hope to get through all this. So that's just my 2 cents worth of how I'm trying to, make the world a little bit better for other people. Maybe they walk by and see this and they smile. Maybe their kids are like, oh, hey, mommy, maybe is there another word in the window today? Maybe gives them something to look forward to. And on that note too, it also gets me something to look forward to, because who knows when we wake up in the morning what's going on. But I say, gosh darn it, little Stuart Smalley. I have committed to putting these nice positive words in my windows, and I don't know if anybody else is looking for them, but I said to myself I'd do it for people, so I'm going to do it. And then that gets me out of bed, and then I go and I decide what word I'm going to put up, because it depends, and then I put it up there, and at least I know that I've started the day off on a good note. So while I totally get that we can all be scared and worried and concerned at this time, I am there with you people. We are all in this giant boat of whatever together. But I have found, and maybe you will too, that if you do something nice, reach out to a friend, smile at a neighbor, something doesn't even have to cost you money, do something nice for somebody else, then they feel nice and then you feel good too. So that's a little bit of, Maud Betty's doing her just drive your life type stuff here. But I think it's important to not only, to balance the crunchy and the smooth. We've got some fun stuff going on. We've got some serious stuff going on, but it's that kind of soup. And Jude, I don't know where you're going to find lobster in mid-Wales, but Cliff and I would be more than happy to come over and visit. And I'm sure there's some Welsh delicacies besides Welsh rabbit that we know of. Donna Fisher-Wilhelm is saying exponential joy, and I don't even know what that means, but I love it. What a great idea. So this is Maud Betty signing off until next Tuesday when we do another Retro Roadmap Facebook Live. Oh, and you know what? Let me give a plug. Cliff Hillis, Retro Road husband, Uncle Cliff, like I was calling him last week because my sister was on. He is going to do another live, Facebook Live, where he plays the music on Sunday, this Sunday, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a brunch show. And the cool thing is he is donating half of his proceeds. He's got a virtual tip jar on Venmo and things like that. Talk about helping other people. And he is donating half of whatever tips he gets to a local community, I don't want to say charity, but a local group that will do good things for people. We did Phoenixville Area Community Services, PACS. I think this week is going to be the senior center, because old folks need to get the foods because they're usually relying on getting their meals there. And then each one will be a different local charity. So in any case, feel free to tune in. I promised, I asked him rather, if I could do a little bit of Lucy. I want to say Lucy Arnaz, but wasn't her last name McGillicuddy? Anyhow, you know how she always wants to get on stage at Ricky's nightclub? So I said to Cliff, I said, can I make a special guest appearance and just say hey to everybody? So if any Retro Road Mappers chime in to Cliff's Facebook Live on this Sunday, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time on the Cliff Hillis page, you'll see me in the background occasionally. Usually I'm in the other room, but this time I said I would like to come back in and say a little hey. So anyhow, it was wonderful to see everybody in the comments. I truly mean that, because I can picture each one of you. Elaine Nolan, oh, it's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you since we were in Ireland together. I hope you're doing well. But I love that I can connect to you folks, but then also you all now will recognize each other's names when you're in the comments, and you might have something in common with some of the people in the comments. So if you do, I'll try to call that out at some point. But this is just Maud Betty from the Hacienda, helping you hanging in there, and just saying, just drive your life, okay? So next Sunday and Tuesday, have an awesome weekend and be the best you can be, okay? Bye.